Hello, hello, hello. It is Moscow Mitch Monday. We are your Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited about tonight. I think we are actually streaming onto a bunch of different platforms right now. So if maybe you're on IGTV or Twitter, you're seeing us live there, which is a first for us, which is super exciting because who likes Facebook, right? I mean, who honestly, who really likes Facebook? Like no one really does, right? Right-wing nut jobs really do well with Facebook. We see Facebook as a kind of a necessary evil, underscoring evil. But what I will say is we're also not live, but you might be listening to us on a podcast right now too, because we have unlocked the podcast distribution power of the website Anchor. So kind of exciting. Like I personally have never watched a Facebook live stream before we started doing this, but I love podcasts. So I'm hopeful this is going to be a new way for us to get our information out to people who need it, right? Because we are right now at 50 days until we, find out whether we've succeeded or failed in our efforts to retire Mitch McConnell. We are in the final 50, people. So now is the time to get serious. Now is the time to get the information out, get the talking points down, get your, moderate family members all on board to vote against Mitch on November 3rd or before, because our new kind of way of voting. But we got a really exciting show for you today. Really exciting. We're going to be, of course, starting off with Mitch in the news. We got Doug following Mitch's money, 6 degrees of Oleg Deripaska. So it's, not quite the Kevin Bacon version. It's a more dirty political version. And guess what? Mitch is connected. We're going to be joined by Dr. Arnold Farr of the Kentucky Poor People's Campaign. This is a new segment that we're calling Campaign's Corner to bring a little bit more focus to what's going on across our great state in efforts to kind of hold Mitch accountable, just spread the word about how his agenda is failing so many different perspectives of folks who care about policy in our state. And of course, our interview this week is with former Senate candidate Mike Broihier. Really excited to have Mike back with the Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee. We're going to discuss how Mitch fails the working class and how a universal basic income could help Kentucky. We've got updates on our campaigns to help ditch Mitch on November 3rd, our 5K for KY campaign, brought to us by our organizing chair, Kit. So look forward to that. And update on our weekly See a Senator Saturday demonstration. So lots to do, lots to get. I should stop talking because we have a lot to get through. I do want to keep this to an hour of your time. But on an update front, we did meet our Mitch Match Challenge. So I want to say thank you to our anonymous donor. That was $500, a big boost to our resources. Thanks to everyone who kicked in. But just so you know, we still have a goal of raising $500 a week. So, matched or not, your donation is doubly appreciated. We absolutely appreciate the donation. So please pitch in, would you? If you missed that match opportunity, that's okay. We still like the single version of your donation. We are happy to have that as well. Or if you've got a lot of money and you want to help us, match some donations, talk to us. Let us know. We could sign you up. You don't have to be anonymous. We could give you all sorts of credit for your matching donations. But that's what we're going on. We've got about 50 days. We want to hit it hard. We don't want to miss a moment to take advantage of the information, the activism that we've got going on here with the Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee. So we're starting off though with our introductions. Who are you? Where are you coming from? And what does your protest sign say today? And I'm Aaron. As always, I'm coming to you from Chilesburg in Lexington, and my sign says today, I actually had one. I think maybe I lost it. All right, here it is. I don't know if you can see it. My sign says, ditch Mitch to save Social Security, healthcare, the U.S. Postal Service, our climate, and our democracy. So that's what I think we need to be telling the words about what Mitch is up to with our agenda. So, hey, next, Kimberly. Kimberly, are you here?
Yes, I'm here all the way from Louisville, Kentucky. And you're showing me up today, Aaron, with your sign. It looks all wonderful. So I've got an imaginary sign, and it's not going to be my usual hashtag, Mitch better have my money, although he better. But my sign today is from the great organization of Indivisible, Kentucky, along with Mark Murphy. And it says, hashtag sick of Mitch. I'm about to throw up right now. I'm so sick of him. Hashtag sick of Mitch.
Literally sick. We are literally sick of Mitch. Kimberly is literally throwing up because of Mitch's horrible work in DC on behalf of his corporate donors. That's an awesome one. Thank you. And we love Indivisible. Big fans of Indivisible. We're an affiliate of Indivisible. Nate, you're up next. What's up?
Hey, folks. This is Nate Orshan, broadcasting live from Kitchen My Lovely Home here in South Frankfurt. And this week, my sign is a real one, and it says, let's see if we can get this out. Moscow Mitch is a treason weasel, and Kentucky voters won't forget.
Treason weasel.
That'll show him.
Yeah. He's scorched right now. He is nursing his wounds. He was called a treason weasel.
That's right.
I love that one. We should go right on his Facebook page right now, actually. All right. So we're now into Mitch in the news. What are the stories that we're seeing out there that we're going to share with you, and how Mitch is, Mitch is always in the news. Love him or hate him, the guy is always in the news because he is, the most powerful Republican senator, the most powerful senator. Some people say the most powerful person in Washington, D.C. But what's he been up to with that power? Nate, what's up with Mitch? What's he been up to?
All right. Well, the question this week is, so what does Mitch McConnell want to do for Kentuckians regarding the COVID-19 pandemic? The answer, as little as humanly possible. So this one is inspired by the latest Morgan Watkins column in Louisville's Courier Journal. It just came out last Thursday, September 10th, and it was titled Mitch McConnell on Woodward book, quote, "We all knew," unquote, COVID-19 was dangerous in February. So the backstory on this is that Bob Woodward, who's an icon of American journalism and one of the reporters behind the classic book, All the President's Men, which helped take down the Nixon presidency. I like the sound of that. He just came out with a new book about President Trump, and it's called Rage. One of the attention-getting descriptions in the book is of an interview that Woodward conducted of President Trump on February 7th. That's an important date. Hold on to February 7th this year, in which Trump expressed a much more thorough understanding about the true threat of SARS coronavirus 19 than he was letting on in public. So while Trump told Woodward in private things like, this is deadly stuff, it's also more deadly than even your strenuous flus. I'm getting these quotes from the New York Times. He then went on to keep misleading the American public. He was saying things like, a lot of people think that coronavirus goes away in April with the heat. And he said that on February 10th. Or, we have it very much under control. He said that on February 23rd. Or, so last year, 37,000 Americans died from the common flu. Nothing is shut down. Life and the economy go on. Think about that. That was on March 9th that he said that, a full month after his admission to Woodward. P.S. I got these quotations from factcheck.org. So this is where our boy Mitch comes in. Last Thursday, September 10th, the senator was being interviewed by Dana Perino on Fox News. And when Perino brought up the Trump coronavirus admission and asked Mitch whether he also knew how unsafe it was, he replied, quote, "We all knew it was dangerous," unquote. Wait, what? He knew it was dangerous, but he let the president keep telling lie after lie about it to the American public? And this isn't just an annoying lie like biggest inauguration crowd ever. This is like we're strapped to the tracks and a speeding train is coming right at us. And our president's telling us only 5,000 people die from motorcycles every year and the economy goes on. And then when winter comes, it all goes away. Yeah. So Mitch knew the guy was lying, knew that the coronavirus was actually dangerous, but he chose to say nothing. The Senate Majority Leader, a guy who is supposed to work hard for us Kentuckians, what did he do to hold up? What did he do for us till the end of March, other than sit on his hands and hold his tongue? So when you think about that sad fact, and you add to that how unseriously he takes the need to address coronavirus relief, even today, and we'll be hearing more about that later on this same show. Just hang out with us. You have to come away asking, what does Mitch McConnell really want to do for Kentuckians regarding the COVID-19 pandemic? And the answer, as little as he possibly can, as little as we Kentuckians keep letting him get away with. From Moscow, Mitch Monday, I'm Nate Orshan.
That's great. Thank you for that, right? Or that summary of that story. That a very important story. You got the president, shamelessly lying. Who said, I love the kind of the spin trying to come out of this revelation, right? Or like first is like, well, it's Woodward's fault. If this was so bad, why did he wait? He should have come out with this long ago. Like, that's your defense? That's not a very good defense. And then the defense is like, look, I don't want to panic people. We got to downplay it so that people aren't panicked. Meanwhile, like scrolling through his Twitter feed, they're burning the suburbs. They're coming for you. Antifa will kill you and your family. Like just this crazy like fear mongering. So that doesn't seem to pass like the laugh test, right?
Yep. And then Panic is his middle name.
What's that?
Panic is his middle name.
Yeah. And here we are, right? Like, what are you gonna believe? Your lion eyes or me? And Mitch clearly chooses to try to walk a fine line, right? Because I will attack Mitch for all the things he's done horribly during this pandemic. He though has in fact said you should wear a mask. I'm wearing a mask. All his events, it seems like he's pretty serious about it. Of course, he's kind of in the target zone. He's he's an older guy, a very old guy. And if he gets it, it's probably not going to go well for him. So he's been pretty serious about that. But the idea that he would like just not say, by the way, ignore the president because he's wrong. It's just, political cowardice, right? I don't know. Kimberly, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Aaron, the Senate came back to D.C. last week after its very long summer break and attempted to finally pick up some sort of relief measure for our pandemic injured economy, 4 months after the House sent the HEROES Act to Mitch's desk. And Mitch still couldn't get anything passed. Are we surprised? No. And according to an article in NPR about the COVID relief bill fails and the prospects of bipartisanship on a deal, we also know that they're calling it the skinny proposal because it would have starved a lot of people, and especially me as well. Okay, I might need a little starvation there, but I guess keep in mind the HEROES Act was a $3 trillion package, $3 trillion. And the earlier Senate package was only $1 trillion. But the skinny proposal was just $300 billion. That may sound like a lot to just you and I, but that's a lot of money still. Here's a statement from the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy. Now, the failed Senate skinny proposal was an even weaker version of the deeply inadequate plan Senate leaders put forward at the end of July. Doing less when we need more is no way to address the recession of our lifetime. By shortchanging the nation at a time of unprecedented need, the plan would have made the slump deeper, longer, and more painful. The plan left out general aid to state and local governments, which would have resulted in cuts to services like schools and health that are always essential, but especially in this crisis that we're in right now, it failed to include much needed monies for food and housing assistance. Also, increasingly, the hardships at a time like this, when thousands more Kentucky families are fighting homelessness, since we've started the eviction processes, and some landlords don't want to go through that process, and they're still evicting our Kentuckians right here. And also hunger. I heard today that there was some people downtown with Until Freedom talking about they've been all over the country and they've never seen such food deserts as they have seen in Louisville, Kentucky, and all across Kentucky. So right now, at this time when thousands of Kentuckians are fighting all of this, by cutting the $600 expanded unemployment benefit in half and allowing benefits to end prematurely, the skinny proposal would have punished the massive numbers of Kentuckians who have been laid off through no fault of their own. Kentucky needs a robust congressional aid package. We really do, that allows families and the economy to endure this monumental challenge that's, right in front of us right now. The Senate skinny proposal fell far short of that. So once again, it looks like Mitch still wants cities and states to go bankrupt. Remember when he said that? Just let them go bankrupt.
Yeah, it is. It's troubling, right? So again, we keep saying he's the most powerful senator, most powerful, maybe Republican in DC. And how does that, what's that get us? What's the outcome? It's like he hasn't, didn't deal with the HEROES Act when it was sent to his desk, right? Because that's what he does. Lets, bills die on his desk, his graveyard, as he calls it. Doesn't act on it. Lets the unemployment benefit, end. Lets the eviction moratoriums end, doesn't feel compelled, doesn't feel a sense of urgency, right? He says this, to deal with it, goes on a 25-day recess, and comes back and can't even pass, the stripped down bill through his own, his own his own Senate can't get that done. Like, what's he doing? I don't know. Nate, what do you think about, the issue of this coronavirus relief package and the sad state that we're looking at right now?
Well, I mean, it just, as someone said earlier on this show, he just does as little as possible, for the people who need him the most and who vote for him. So it's just all of a piece, I would really be surprised. It's kind of like you were talking about him wearing the mask, and that's sort of like, well, it's actually one good thing he's doing, and yeah, modeling good behavior, okay, but the sad thing is, like, it takes us by surprise. It takes us aback when we see something like that, because we're so used to him, like, consistently doing the wrong thing, absolutely, for regular Kentuckians. And so this is another instance where, he's taken the mask off and shown us who he really is.
Absolutely. All right. So I've got one final Mitch in the news story. And this one I kind of bent the rules because there wasn't really a news story, but it was in my social media feed all over the place. So 9/11, obviously happened, the memorial of that horrible day. And Mitch took to social media to proudly, support the heroes of 9/11, the first responders, never forget hashtag. We should, of course, never forget the first responders. Of course. But this was an impressive display of convenient political amnesia on the part of Moscow Mitch. He seemed to have forgotten that he was the one who let the 9/11 first responders twist in the wind, as he was slow walking the reauthorization of the Victims Fund about a year ago, June, I think, of 2019. He had to be publicly shamed again and again and again to reauthorize that fund. If folks remember Jon Stewart, the retired, at that point, the retired, former anchor of The Daily Show, he came out of retirement to shame Mitch McConnell, using all of the power he had to get that story out there, to elevate the story of the first responders who are still struggling with health impacts of that devastating event, and thanks in no small part to that, to Jon Stewart's work, Mitch finally, got it done and reauthorized that Victims Fund. Now, of course, we are losing a 9/11 worth of victims every 3 days to the coronavirus. And of course, we just heard how Mitch is doing on that one. So that's Mitch in the news today. Thank you so much for joining us for that segment. We are now very excited to be joined by Kit for an update on our 5K for KY campaign. What's up, Kit?
Oh, gosh. I was just seriously thinking, Aaron, you know how you spell Mitch? I love spelling. Hypocrite. 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 Yeah. Just wanted to put that out there. I had to make a little mini comment. And you just wait. I'll be doing an essay at some point about divisiveness, because these white hairs all happened when he became my senator. All of them. I came down here from Patrick Leahy in Vermont, and I had black hair just a year ago.
I I'm gonna
You
need
doubt that, don't you?
some photo documentation of that, Kit. I mean, I'm not gonna call you liar on a live stream, but I'm just gonna need to see some photo documentation.
No, seriously though, it's driving me a little bit bonkers. Yeah, so that was intense, and so I'm just gonna make us like have a little moment of celebration here. You know me, I love to party, I love to celebrate, and I want to celebrate us. We're not quite completely where I want us to be, but if you remember correctly, about a month ago, we set out with a goal to reach out with mailings and a registration form to 5,000 potential new voters here in Kentucky. We wanted to get 5,000 new voters because how many votes did Andy Beshear beat Matt Bevin by? 5,000.
5,000.
So that was our goal. And we started this really just maybe even a little bit under a month ago. And I will say we are not completely there yet. However, the response to our call for volunteers was absolutely amazing. We got 61 volunteers from 7 states as far away as Maryland helped us out. And so far at this point, my count is that we have sent letters to 4,564 potential new voters here in Kentucky. That's almost 5,000. However, by the time we're done, and this is going to be within a week, I can guarantee we will have over 5,500 letters sent. So that is 5,500 potential. And these aren't just things that are sent to, quote, current resident. These are addressed to a specific person, like Kit O'Connor, Frankfort, Kentucky. So that's where we are. I actually really want to take a moment to celebrate us and give us some good news. The outpouring of support for this has been amazing. And if we hadn't run out of time, energy, and resources, we could have sent more and more. So I've been, sending some of the volunteers in other directions at this point. However, we still do need some help. Some people are interested in making calls. We also got some phone numbers to accompany some of these addresses. So I am here to say, if you're interested in making a follow-up phone call to, like, say me, Kit O'Connor, hey, you may have gotten this in the mail. We're just, you weren't registered to vote, whatever we'd word it. Look for it or something like that. If you're interested in making those particular phone calls, let us know, because there's nothing as good as the personal touch and the interpersonal contact. So that would be great. And we do have 3 people already working on that, but there's like 2,000 people to call. That's, when you're taking a break from other activism. Then the other thing is, I just want to put this in your head. We'll be doing a Get Out the Vote movement with some relational organizing coming up as we get even closer to the election really soon. So start thinking about how you might want to help get out the vote, because you know what? It's great if you can vote. It's better if you actually do vote. So that's where I'm at.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that update, Kit. So we're so close. We're like painfully close to getting that 5,000 potential new voters.
Okay, here's the truth. The truth is we have done it, but I don't count you until you've got them all done. But, so many of the people who are doing 100 have done, like, I've done 75. So we're there, but we're not there.
Yeah. Yep. 60 folks stepped up to volunteer. That's
61.
61. Sorry about you.
7 states.
But yeah, that was fantastic. We're really excited to see that. We're a little campaign. The fact that we've found 61 folks to pitch in and help out is really awesome. And we're really thrilled that folks are finding that compelling and are taking advantage of, the organizing campaigns we've developed here. And again, a really good flag for that relational organizing, which you're like, I don't know what that means. It's really just us
relationships,
looking at our relationships, right? Mm-hmm. Looking at our friends and, family and people who might not vote like, they should or could, and trying to connect to them to give them information, the motivation they need to get to the polls by November 3rd. So yeah, it's actually been shown to be one of the most powerful ways you can increase voter turnout is if you are talking to your friends and family about it, right? It's way better than the stranger at your door. The stranger at your door can be very compelling, and I like canvassing, but if you're actual like family members that you're going to see in, Thanksgiving, and they're going to check in on you to see how that went. There's like, the canvasser's not coming back by, right?
Put your money where your mouth is. Yep. Yeah. Each one reach one, or in this case, each one reach 5. So.
Yeah, or 500. We'll see what happens,
We'll see.
So hey, thanks, Kit. Thanks for joining us. And so keep your eyes on the prize. If you want to make phone calls, just make a comment or, send us an email, whatever it is. But we are now moving on to our Campaigns Corner, our very new segment where we are highlighting activism around the state, helping to, highlight some of the problems with Mitch McConnell. And for that, we are bringing on Dr. Arnold Farr, who I've done some activism with my time here in Lexington, who's just an amazing organizer, amazing guy, wears a lot of hats, not just to cover his baldness. I don't think that's why he's just active. He just does a ton of stuff. And actually, he's running for school board right now as well. So a very cool guy. And thank you so much for taking the time because you are very busy. But welcome, Arnold.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and it's good to see everybody. And I have to say the reason I'm bald is because of all those hats. Just rubbing my hair away. But
it's stressful. It's hard to keep all those balls in the air, right? Like, oh my gosh, I gotta do one more thing. But he does it. He does it with grace and not a lot of hair.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I'm with the Poor People's Campaign and the National Call for More Revival, as you all know. And we have some events coming up. The first one is next Monday on the 21st. There's a caravan the cars will be organizing between 3:30 and 4. And there's going to be more information about that. We're actually having a meeting to nail some things down this Wednesday. And we'll have information posted on the Kentucky Poor People's Campaign Facebook. You can go there or go to my Facebook, Arnold Farr. I'll be posting that and sharing it all over the place. And we're going to ride around. We're still determining the route and circle Mitch's office here in town, the one off of Harrisburg Road, and to send a message. Now, I have to say, the Poor People's Campaign, we do not endorse any political candidates, but our job is to hold political candidates accountable and to call them out when we feel that they're not being accountable. Our focus has been several things, what we call the 5 evils in our society, starting with what Martin Luther King called the 3 evils, racism, militarism, and poverty. And we've added to that ecological devastation. Ecological devastation is the 5th one. I'm drawing a blank right now, but you get the idea. And a lot of these problems, I would say all 5 of them, are the result of policy. Right? They're not things that naturally exist. Poverty is not a natural state, right? It's a result of poverty. It's produced, right? And the question is, what causes poverty? Well, either some type of action or some type of inaction that we find with someone like Mitch McConnell, right? So our task is to go to the source of the problem, which is policy, and raise the question, what kind of policy is being passed that produces these 5 evils, or what kind of policy is being avoided that would remedy these 5 evils, right? And when we look at someone like Mitch McConnell, we find him sort of completely hands off when it comes to passing the kind of policy that will end poverty in Kentucky, that will improve education, that will improve health care. He's basically an absent politician. I tell my students all the time, and the forefathers founded this country. Now, they had some issues too, but at least one thing they had right was that our senators, our congressmen, our representatives were supposed to spend time with their constituents, talking to them about their problems and their issues, right? Mitch is nowhere to be found when it comes to talking to Kentuckians about what they're going through in terms of poverty, what they're going through in terms of problems with healthcare, what they're going through in terms of the problem with education. And right now, we're the 5th poorest state in the country, right? The 5th poorest state in the country, and Mitch McConnell's been in office 35 to 36 years, right? And so the fact that we are still the 5th poorest state in the country suggests that he's not lifted a finger to alleviate poverty in the state. And so part of the caravan that we're doing next week, and then another event a week after that we'll be announcing, is to call him out and make him accountable for what he's done or not done for the state of Kentucky.
That's awesome. It's a lot, right? So you imagine whatever policies he's been pushing for his 36 years have not worked, right? Like we are not in a situation where we are, markedly improved from when he entered into, political power. So, you had your shot, Mitch. And I'm not going to connect those dots for you, Arnold, because you guys do not, engage in partisan politics. But, I think we should protest him. And then we should just remember that when we get to the ballot box somehow between now and November 3rd to make our votes counted.
McConnell has been invited to some of our events, but there's always been an empty chair with his name on it.
Yeah, he doesn't show up, right? And of course, we learned early on in our live stream career, we had Nancy Jo Kemper on, of course, who ran for Congress, and she had learned through her work as an advocate that you could not meet with Mitch McConnell to advance a political agenda unless you had given $25,000 to one of the many PACs or his political, if you have to show the receipts basically to get time with Mitch to advance your agenda. And, she had some folks who had made some contributions, so she was able to get some time. And of course, even then, that did not, he did not embrace her agenda, but at least she got to share it with him. But yeah, no, he's not hearing from the Kentucky Poor People's Campaign. How are the poor people going to come up with $25,000?
Yes, exactly. I mean, they already have to choose between your food or paying the light bill or insulin, right?
Or coming up with a contribution to Mitch McConnell. Yeah, I think you're probably going to go with the smarter, better investment, your health, your housing. So, Arnold, thank you so much. Dr. Farr, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you sharing that campaign. I'm going to read the name of this, though, because I think it is a phenomenal name. The Moral Monday Car Caravan Protest. March on McConnell's meanness, mayhem, and misery. And if you know me, I am a sucker for alliteration. So I am loving that name. And I love that it's a continuation of the Moral Monday effort, which is so powerful, so important. And of course, Dr. Barber, Reverend Dr. Barber, just an amazingly inspiring and just phenomenal organizer, right? Yeah. Just what a guy. And so that's so great.
By the way, this is going to be happening across the country in all the over 40 states involved. At the same time, this is going to be happening. It's going to be happening in several different counties throughout Kentucky at the same time.
Yeah, Mitch has got a bunch of offices, right? So people can hit him up. He's got Paducah, he's got Northern, Kentucky, he's got Louisville. Kimberly, I don't know what you're doing next Monday, but you might want to find some time around 3:30 to do a car caravan in Louisville. I am going to try to get it out, try to get my calendar cleared so we can make that, because that is, I think, a really important protest. But again, thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Arnold Farr. Good luck with this protest. Good luck with everything you're working on, which is significant, especially your campaign for school board. I hope that goes well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. So we're moving on. There it was. So what do we think? Campaign's Corner. Do we like that one? What do you think, Nate? You like that one?
More alliteration from you. Yes. What's not to love?
Kimberly, should we keep doing that? Kimberly is muted, but she's nodding. So I'm going to take that thumbs up. All right. We got a thumbs up for more Campaigns Corner. We're going to bring it back. We're going to find other groups to highlight. There's a lot of great activism in our state. We want to lift it up. We want to plug you in. So I hope you can take time to join next Monday. The great thing about that timing is it wraps up well before our live stream starts. So you can do both. I don't want to lose a viewer, but I do want to gain some activists. So that's absolutely true. All right. We've got now a very exciting following Mitch's money. We're bringing back Doug Price, who does the digging, who finds the dirt, shares the information that that we need to share about Mitch and his dark money. So bringing that on now, I think.
I would certainly be in favor of allowing states to use the bankruptcy route.
Welcome to another discussion of following Mitch's money. I thought it would be interesting to select a lobbying firm that I expect has been able to influence Mitch McConnell, and then talk about how lobbying is supplemented by donations from those firms who pay lobbying firms to help them obtain the legislation they desire for their businesses that pay them. I'm certain most of you have heard of the 6 degrees of separation, the idea that all people are 6 or fewer social connections away from each other, also known as the 6 handshakes rule. As a result, A chain of a friend statements can be made to connect any two people in a maximum of 6 steps. It is easy to connect Mitch to lobbying firms, as those companies are hired by companies to talk to politicians like Mitch to obtain favorable outcomes for the companies that hire the lobbyists. I selected a firm that has been in the headlines lately, primarily due to its involvement in some high-profile situations. Mercury Public Affairs. From their website, Mercury is a high-stakes public strategy firm. We provide results for the world's most successful companies, leading advocacy groups, governments, political parties, NGOs, and prominent public and political figures. Mercury has 22 offices scattered around the globe and employs 172 experts. One of the partners is David Vitter from Louisiana. Mr. Vitter served first in the U.S. House and then was elected to the U.S. Senate. He resigned over a scandal, but is still involved in politics on the lobbying side of the equation. Mitch and his wife and her dad, along with other Chows, were contributors to Vitter while he was in political office. Vitter has ties to Mitch and to Russia, as he was among foreign agents paid to ease sanctions on Oleg Deripaska. Let's bring Trump into this 6 degrees of separation. Trump nominated Vitter's wife to a federal judgeship in 2018. Mitch pushed that nomination through the Senate, and Mrs. Vitter is now serving as a federal judge in Louisiana. During the 2020 election cycle, Mercury has spent $4.3 million lobbying Congress on behalf of 72 clients and spent over $9 million in 2019. The following clients of Mercury also made contributions to Mitch McConnell: Altria, almost $100,000, KKR and Company, over $120,000, and Blue Cross Blue Shield, over $84,000. The combination of paying lobbying firms, companies donating money to congressional leaders, and individuals within those entities creates good legislation for big business. Here's another 6 degrees of separation connection that intrigues and fascinates me. In May 2018, Lord Gregory Barker of Battle, a member of the British House of Lords and chairman of EN Plus Group, which is a Russian energy company formerly controlled by Deripaska, inked a 6-figure per month contract with Mercury Public Affairs to lobby for the removal of U.S. sanctions imposed for Deripaska's role in Russian interference in the 2016 election. At the crux of the operation is former Senator David Vitter. Despite a 2-year cooling-off period that restricts senators from immediately lobbying their colleagues under the Lobbying Disclosure Act, Vitter is still able to lobby other key figures in the Trump administration. Vitter received 12 reported disbursements from Barker in June and July of 2018, 8 of which were for client meetings. In April, Vitter had several meetings with State Department and Treasury Department officials, briefing them on Barker's situation. One would think U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin was involved in this 6 degrees of separation circle, and possibly United States Secretary of State Pompeo. Vitter was not the only big-name Mercury enlisted to beef up their lobbying efforts for the sanctioned companies. Mercury also brought on former Trump campaign aide Brian Lanza. Both Mercury and Deripaska have come under scrutiny by federal prosecutors in New York over ties to former Trump campaign chair Paul Manafort's influence operations benefiting the Russian government and Russian President Vladimir Putin. FARA disclosures revealed the group has a tight relationship with the European Center for Modern Ukraine, a nonprofit believed by U.S. officials to be linked to pro-Russia Ukrainian politicians. Due to this, mercury is also tied to the Brady aluminum plant in the Green Ashland, Kentucky area, as Nebraska owned Russell and was required to relinquish ownership as part of the deal to reduce sanctions. The Brady aluminum plant is on hold, and the forecast is not great that this plant will ever be built. It is notable that in August 2020, the new CEO pledged that dirt would be moved starting in December 2020. Thanks to former Governor Matt Bevin, the Commonwealth owns stock in this venture. We know from previous discussions that Mitch is most concerned about money. Russian oligarchs, Russian citizens with dual U.S. citizenship, lobbyists, big business, lobbying firms, all know that the way to Mitch is money. Seemingly, Mitch is involved in all of their circles because it is politically expedient. One can surmise why Mitch earned the nickname Moscow Mitch. I propose this is detrimental to we the people and believe we need to retire Mitch on November 3rd, 2020.
This partisan impeachment will end today.
So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful.
All right. Thank you so much, Doug. Good God, what an asset we have with us. Doug Price, who does that work, does that diligence, spends the time on opensecrets.com to find out what is going on with Mitch's political money. Not all of it, right? There's a lot of dark money that doesn't get reported, but Doug combs through Mitch's public records to figure out what's going on with the money, and that was super informative. So thanks again, Doug. Now we've got our featured guest of the evening. Really, really excited to bring to you a conversation with Mike Broihier. Mike, of course, rose to prominence as one of the candidates lining up. Saw it as his duty to take on Mitch McConnell. He did not, win that dubious honor, but he brought a lot of really good ideas to the campaign trail, ran an unabashedly, unapologetically progressive campaign, and just really, I think, brought so much to our state's political discourse. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike Broihier from Chicken Bristle Farm. And what part of Kentucky is that? Where's Chicken Bristle? Is that on a map?
It actually is, but it's in Lincoln County. Outside of state, it's an unincorporated part of Lincoln County near Stanford. So awesome. Heart of the bluegrass.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, so first question, we ask every guest, what's your protest sign say today? What's your sign say today?
I made one because I didn't make one last time and I felt sad. So I made one and it says R.I.P. Toots. Toots Hibbert, Toots and the Maytels died this week of the COVID. And, so I was surprisingly bothered. I don't go in for celebrity or, that just it's not something I pay attention to. But, what it caused me to think about was, and before there was a term called cultural appropriation, I grew up on The Clash and the Specials. And, the two-tone bands, the ska bands, and the punk bands out of England. And I'd hear the music and I'd go, oh, this is brilliant. This just kills it. And it wasn't until I was a grown-up when I realized that they were just playing old dance hall songs and rocksteady songs out of Jamaica. And in my mind now, I can see them digging through the old record bins and used record stores, going, well, let's play this, Junior Mervyn, let's play this. And so before we had the term cultural appropriation, and I didn't know any better, there was no internet, and you just hear you'd hear Police and Thieves by The Clash, and you didn't know they just lifted that from Junior Mervyn out of Jamaica. So he's been on my mind since he passed away. Sadly, lived a long life, but I didn't really know who he was until I was in college and I saw The Harder They Come, and that great, fantastic movie. And I saw that on Betamax. So that's how long ago. I know you all know what that is, but yeah. So weirdly, I don't have a political sign, but it's been on my mind, and the whole, cultural appropriation thing that I was a participant in when I was a kid, just buying records.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Again, thanks for joining us. I think Kimberly's got the first question for you.
Yes, Mike Broihier. I will admit that I do know you. And you are such an honorable man. I've had an opportunity to be around you, to learn you, to actually become a friend of yours, and you are a friend of mine. But after this election was over and things like that, there's a lot of people out here crying for Mike Broihier. And I won't call you Michael because I know your wife, Lynn, she only calls you Michael. But there's a lot of questions surrounding and really wanting you to run against Rand Paul.
Well, first of all, I'll tell the other participants and the multitude of watchers that there's only one person other than my wife two people that I would break quarantine protocol for. My granddaughter and Kimberly Cecil-Jones, who I broke quarantine with. And we broke our social distancing and actually got to see each other last week, which was lovely. We met her and Betsy Foster for a meal, which is wonderful. To your question, Kim, and you know me, what drove me off this farm, which caused Lynn and I to leave this pastoral life and what we were doing here, what we built, was the great evil presented to Mitch McConnell. And, the campaign trail, I would say the essential threat. I know it's kind of wanking to say, back last July, I was saying this, but, I was the first candidate, to talk about a slide towards authoritarianism, about the danger posed by people like Mitch McConnell, particularly in his position as the Senate Majority Leader, suborning the entire Congress to the executive, packing the judicial branch. I mean, we saw this jackassery this week where Daniel Cameron's name shows up on a list of potential Supreme Court justices, a guy who could be on the court for 5 decades, possibly. Outlast any of us in this broadcast, I'm sure. So, it was the motivation of having this great evil to fight that got me into the fight. And I think, Kim, to answer your question, I campaigned against Mitch McConnell as the farmer and the retired Lincoln bristle. I struggle with if you run again, aren't you a politician? That's what I struggle with, and I haven't come up with the answer yet. I don't know what the answer is. And Rand Paul surely is a lesser evil than Mitch McConnell. I mean, he has 1 vote out of 100 in the U.S. Senate, but he does not have nearly the potential for mischief that Mitch McConnell has. So feel free to ask your question in a different way if I didn't answer it.
Well, so before I ask my question, Mike, thank you for the shout out for Toots. And I too am a big fan. Got to see him years and years and years ago. And I would recommend an album to you called Toots in Memphis, where he actually records with, like, I guess it's Stax musicians and whatnot. And he's covering Otis Redding, talk about appropriation. He's doing all these great Motown and
where he records with Willie Nelson?
No, that was a different one. This is just him in this crack band doing, like, soul from the 60s. But I digress. So you've spent a lot of time and energy, more than most Kentuckians, learning about Mitch McConnell. And so my curiosity is, what is some aspect or story about Mitch that you wish more Kentuckians understood better?
Well, I think the fact that on rare occasions he speaks the truth. and Kim's heard me say this over and over again, but for example, you know, when he's, you know, we're going on a year and a half ago, he was talking to donors here in Kentucky, and he told them that he's speaking about judges, and he said, "I'm changing America forever." And that, and no matter what is going on, no matter with the pandemic and with the protests in our streets, and all these things are so very important. But behind the scenes, McConnell is keeping his eyes on the prize, and it is the judges that matter to him. When back in, I guess it was May, he was asked what was on the legislative calendar for the rest of the year. He got that little grin on his face, and he said, "Judges, judges, judges." And so, you know, I wish I had some little clever anecdote to tell about Mitch McConnell. But there are rare instances when he speaks truth, and in his, because he knows that he can fundamentally change our republic by stacking the courts, and that's what he's doing. So I wish I had some funny, uplifting story to tell you, Nate, but that's the one thing that I want people to focus on. This power that he has in the Senate, and that's why he needs to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's right. You know, that idea that if we gave him 6 more years and, you know, heaven forbid, a Republican administration whose confirmees or whose appointments he could confirm, the Supreme Court would be gone for a generation. It is like barely hanging on now in terms of a halfway rational entity, right? And that is all Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her, self-preservation regime, which I do hope that she is wrapped in bubble wrap and in some sort of a bubble apparatus generally, especially with COVID. So my question for you, Mike, I'm just gonna level with you. I am distressed by this race, stressed and distressed. I think Mitch has made it very politically dangerous to oppose him, right? You know, he's a guy that has a lot of power, and he remembers all his slights. He remembers people that cross him. And that word is out in the political establishment, right? So people aren't getting out of their way to tell the truth about Mitch McConnell, folks who've been around for a really long time. And, you know, in addition to that, you know, Amy's been running a general election strategy, you know, to peel off some Trump voters by not attacking Trump like most liberal Democrats would love to see. So I'm concerned that we don't have the enthusiasm or the party unity that we need to get this job done. I've been glad to see your support, that you've been out there on the campaign trail. What's your feeling from being out there? What do you think we need to do to fire up and unify folks in this final 50, you know, this final push? What do we need to do to get everyone on the same page and, ready to go?
Well, I answer that in 2 parts, Aaron, if you don't mind. First of all, just last weekend, I did an event with Colonel McGrath in Madison County in Richmond. And she was pretty gloves off. And it was a side of her I had not seen before. And we don't talk a lot, but we do talk from time to time. And one thing I think Kimberly could probably attest to is that there's a side of her a lot of people don't see, and that people who care, are always encouraging her to let it rip. And it's, you know, here's the thing though, it is decidedly different for a man and a woman. And that's just the way it is. If you come out swinging at Mitch McConnell and you're a guy, it's perceived one way. If you come out swinging against Mitch McConnell and you're a woman, it's perceived differently. And so she is treading a very, very difficult line. And, but there's 55 freaking days left. And after she got done, it was really my honor to introduce her. And after she got done speaking, I said, that's the Amy McGrath that I want to see. That I want to see a fighter pilot. I want to, I'll tell you, I was at a fundraiser. Do y'all know Hank Linderman?
I don't.
Running for 2nd Congressional District. Hank's running for 2nd District here in Kentucky, U.S. House, which he'd be a great guest too. Sound engineer for the Eagles. Very interesting cat. I know I digress into music, but Hank would be a great guest because he's an interesting cat. So anyways, I was at a fundraiser for him, and he kindly in Danville, Kentucky, and he kindly invited me to come and talk to the group. And I was just fired up. I was just, and Hank's a very laid back, groovy kind of guy. And so were his friends. And when I said, listen, I'm not screwing around, I'm going for the kill on Mitch McConnell, I could see people like drawing back. And I could see my poor wife in the back of the room going, maybe not the crowd, but that's the truth. You cannot screw around when you're going after Mitch McConnell, and you can't care. And the thing that I think made me uniquely positioned was I don't care. I don't care what he says about me. I mean, our joke here in the house is, what is he going to do? Shave my head and send me to boot camp? That's the kind of the Marine worst case scenario. It's like, and he can't do that. So for me to go after him, but Colonel McGrath, as a woman, I think let's just be realistic. It would be nice if it wasn't true, but perceptions. If she came out swinging hard, if she showed that fighter pilot, going for the kill, she'd probably get a much different reaction than, say, me. So, but that being said, when she got done talking in Richmond, I took her aside and, we had a moment, and I said, that's the person that we need to see. But that's just me. I don't know what the rest of Kentucky want. I don't know what other people want to see, but that's what I wanted to see. But she and I, we went to the same schools. So, and we, fought in the same wars. So we understand each other a little bit, but it was really great being able to introduce her, because it was right after, the news broke about suckers and losers, about the president's contempt for people in the military. And I don't know if you know, Bruce Maples from Fort Kentucky had just published an op-ed that I'd written about that particular thing. And so it was really, because right on the heels of that, I had the chance to come and introduce Amy and talk about leadership and about moral courage and doing the right thing in the right, and so it was the timing was great. And I wish I could do more for her. I told her, and this is really boring, one of you all give me the high sign, but early in our, shortly after the primary, she'd asked me to be a surrogate for her. And I said, yeah, whatever you want. And she proposed Farm Bureau. And I got to tell you, I said anything but Farm Bureau. And I wish I hadn't. I really, really wish I hadn't, because I wanted nothing to do with Farm Bureau. I didn't think we needed to be involved with Farm Bureau. I discouraged her from talking to them. And of course, she kind of took a whipping from the McConnell side from not going to the annual Farm Bureau thing. But if I'd been on the ball, I would have told her, I'll go take the whipping for you at Farm Bureau and give them peace of my mind as a farmer and a veteran and a progressive. Yeah,
Farm Bureau is horrible, right? Farm Bureau is a horrible entity.
Right. And I missed the opportunity because I didn't realize what it was when I told her I wouldn't do it. This was a very long time ago. This is like right after the primary. But yeah, she's a busy lady. And but if she'd asked me, I would have gone and just, given them a piece of my mind like they'd never heard, like that they'd only hear from like Chris Hartman, or something like that. So, but anyways, I'm talking too much, guys. Sorry.
No, this is great. And I just want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving up your time. I like your Indivisible mug. I like your Poor People's Campaign shirt. You're hitting all the notes with us. So Mike, you're welcome to come back any point, but we've only got, I think, 7 more episodes before this thing is done and dusted. And I think everyone needs to do something every single day. And it seems like you're doing a heck of a lot. So glad to have your engagement on this campaign and this, ongoing effort to kill the emperor, right? Because if you come for the emperor, you shouldn't miss. And he tends to keep coming back alive at times you wouldn't expect. But yeah, that guy is evil and we got to take him out. So thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
And so we've got a few things we need to touch on. We're right at the hour. I don't want to keep folks too long, but I think if we could do a quick update from our live protest, like we did an amazing job last Saturday. It was our first, first kind of in action see Senator Saturday. We had a cardboard cutout out with us, a cardboard cutout Mitch McConnell, which was a lot of fun because we were at Mitch's office. We went to see if he was there. It was locked. There was no chance of actually talking to Mitch or his staff. But he, we were able to at least demand better of the cardboard cutout. And we got some great video. We got some good media attention as well. We got a story. So we're going to keep doing that every Saturday. So I want to invite you out 3 o'clock every Saturday, Harrodsburg Road and Corporate Drive. It's easy to remember, right? Corporate Drive. Where else would Mitch's office be but on Corporate Drive? And we'll be there to, with the visibility. We've got the big banners. We're going to be doing that in Lexington. We're talking to Kimberly about maybe making it happen in Louisville. What do you think, Kimberly? Should we try to make a see Senator Saturday event happen in Louisville?
Most definitely. He's right here on 6th and Broadway, and we all know the way to get there. And if we want to go to his house too, his alleged house, we know where that is too.
He's not there a lot, you don't think? All right, so that's happening. I'm gonna throw it over to Kimberly though to close out the show. And again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Kimberly, thanks for wrapping it up for us.
Most definitely. Make sure that you're following us on Facebook and invite all your friends. We are trying to make it to 2,000. I put out a couple of, challenges out there for everyone. We're almost there, just a little bit more to go. So join us on Facebook at MMRC 2020 and click like because you like us. Then also, I want to just always say thank you to Ken. You may not see him or hear him, but he puts all of this together. He's absolutely fabulous. And we like to say thank you to him and Couchfire Media for making our live stream so incredible the way that you see it. It's just like being on MSNBC or CNN. That's how good he is. And then also, I want to tell you just a little bit about Ken's show coming up, his activist art show. It's called American Exceptionalism, Degenerate Counterculture, and the 100 Seconds Until Midnight. It opens Friday, September the 18th at the Lexington Art League at the Loudon House. And also you can find him on Facebook at the Obliquity of the Ecliptic. Did I say that right? Did I? It sounds good to me. You guys know what I'm talking about. Okay. So this is going to be a mixed media show, both digital and physical art that features activism, dissent of local, regional, and national political agendas and concepts. The media was created to try to move away from some of the anxiety, fear, lies, hate, and anger since and before Trump. Mitch McConnell makes several cameo appearances as well. I know you just can't wait to see that. So let's also keep things going by putting a bit of cash in the hat. And we need to meet our weekly fundraising goal. So all the information should be up on the screen. Give your money and also like us on Facebook, MMRC 2020. Thank you to all of our audience tonight. Thank you, Aaron, Nate, everybody, Dr. Arnold Farr, and my buddy, my brother, Mike Broihier. Love you guys, and we'll see you next week.